Going to get Jeremy back up, because obviously the day has been all about Peace One Day. Hope you've got value from it. And Jeremy's just going to give us some insights as to what's been going on. We're going to do more of a Q&A format. So big round of applause for Jeremy. Okay, Jeremy, so tell us what's been going on, because we meet fairly regularly, and I go around to the flat and you're all excited about loads of different stuff. I think it was a bit of a game changer with McKinsey's getting involved in the organisation. So tell some of the guys about that.
The McKinsey thing was very interesting. I'll show you some slides. Making this speech to them, and as I mentioned earlier, and then kind of like working alongside them. I mean, doing all of this stuff is very interesting, and the journey's incredible, and sort of, working out how to fund it and kind of hold it together, and really concentrate on the funding process, because there's 20 or so more people in the organisation, and that's just a major part of what we're all doing. And so for them to kind of come along and really sort of want to do that deep dive, and McKinsey's were sort of saying to me, well, what's really interesting, Jeremy, is peace is a hugely important topic to people, one of the most discussed topics on the web. This kind of stuff is really was fascinating to see, and this was the day of peace. This is there is significant positive, and predictable momentum and buzz. This is the 21st of September, obviously, in 2010, and here's the 21st of September in 2011, and of course there's an increase. But what McKinsey's were talking to me about was these moments here, and as an organisation, if we need to institutionalise, then these are really important things to think about. So when you thought about those slides that I was doing earlier on, you noticed that, in February we had the National Union of Students, and in March we were having these domestic violence organisations coming together, and in April you'll see the NGOs, and in June you'll see the opening of the Cultural Olympics. So it's in terms of delivering on our goal of institutionalising, then we need to make these much higher. And it was wonderful that they were doing that. And I think what we'll see happen in 2012, in fact, I'm absolutely certain of it, just because of what we know is already on the table, in relation to, my conversations with the British government, conversations with the Ban Ki-moon, conversations with the African Union, conversations with NGOs and domestic violence organisations. I mean, it really is it's going to be the biggest year for Peace Day this year. Not that it's about the biggest, it's just about this. Because if we're not doing this and we're taking people's money, then we shouldn't be taking their money. And so I'm really fascinated and enthused by this and learning a lot more. And actually there's many more slides that we're not looking at, and they're working with us quite constantly. Every couple of weeks they come with a whole new set of slides and a whole new set of data, and they ask us to supply this information to them. It just is really, it's mind-blowing stuff. So anyway, hopefully we'll see it. We will see. And then they were saying, okay, well, here's your cloud. I mean, it's all kind of very, but it's interesting. I mean, it's it's like these are the words that are out there. This is what people are talking about, and of course they're the right kinds of words. Ceasefire and international and non-violence and global and this kind of thing. Well, good news that those are the words that people are talking about. Again, I don't really like to do this, but it's kind of like we're a team here and we've come together. But what they were also saying is about that when they're analysing corporations, they're looking at positive, neutral, and negative buzz is what they're really looking at in major detail. It's clear to me that that's what they're thinking about. And what they were saying about Peace One Day, and it's very, very rare, so they say, to have no negative buzz. So, in terms of the return on investment, the relationship with the corporations, that is essential to our existence, because we're not a charity. We're not asking people, outright for money. We are working with corporations to say, invest in this process, and let's ask the people for their time and their commitment. Of course, money counts, and it's essential, but the message of Peace One Day out there is not one of rattling buckets, although rattling buckets is great, but that's just not what we're doing out there. We're doing things with Steve and with patrons and events like this. So that's kind of good to see that that's the case. Obviously, for the corporations like Coca-Cola and Google and Skype and Dior and F1 and British Airways, who actually, I have to say something about British Airways because they are an amazing organisation. They were mentioned earlier, and I know that we will have a laugh and a bit of a jibe, and that's all good fun. But that organisation has asked for nothing from us, and for 12 years has flown us all over the world, for no other reason apart from them just wanting to do it. I mean, they're absolutely mind-blowing people that work in that company. I'm really grateful to them because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. And this kind of whole sort of social media side, I mean, we're concentrating on it like mad. I know that we all are in the room. Steve mentioning earlier, you know, for the last year, he's been really looking at it. But going on this thing was, just extraordinary. And I keep sort of seeing these numbers and the sort of whole McKinsey thing and the way in which we need to look at the way we're operating month by month in order to increase our figures. You know, it's just been like a really, like, you know, when you've been on the road for 12 years, I genuinely am as into this as I ever was before. In fact, I feel like I'm more into it now, just because the reality of the sort of the top of the mountain, that there's a few more grips. And I don't care whether those few more grips takes a year or 5 years or 10 years. That's not really important. But what I do see is institutionalization. You know, my conversations at Harvard in America where they're saying it's about 25% the tipping point. You know, it's magical. You don't quite know when it's going to happen. But we are at that moment of institutionalization. That incredible woman who created Mother's Day, we don't know who she is, but we all celebrate Mother's Day. Perfect. That's exactly how Peace Day should be. And it's not so far away. And, thanks, Steve, because, for what you're doing. And, I was just watching Steve at the back of the room, just watching the numbers and counting it up and just sort of seeing somebody's little moment. But I know that moment is about us. And I really honour you, mate, for, banging this out so hard. And this is kind of like the back end of a slide. I mean, this was just an awesome thing to happen. The one object within arm's reach of everybody, was putting our logo and isn't stopping putting our logo on it. And I think it's because this brand equity and this corporate reputation and influential and celebrities and all of these things like McKinsey talk about. And I just hope that we can continue to create that positive and neutral buzz. As long as we go. But it's very, very exciting the next few years.
Absolutely. Brilliant. A round of applause. Okay, time for some questions for you guys. Who'd like to ask Jeremy a question?
I'd like to ask him a question.
Go for it. Can we get a mic?
Doesn't work, doesn't matter.
Okay.
I just want to know, what's the step after the institutionalisation of Peace Day? Because at one point I see this just being so accepted, and what's the next step? Is it to make, how are we going to go from 1 day of peace to 365 days of peace? What's the day after, what's the step after peace 1 day?
Well, genuinely, I think the sort of mountain climber analogy, or the little boat, just whizzing through the Atlantic, with a crew that are just knackered and really hanging on tight. I'm just very much focused on this particular journey. Do you know what I mean? And I do get asked that question quite a lot, but I really am just focused on this climb that we are involved in, and I don't really want to think. I can give you a good answer.
Yeah.
In terms of, but I really just want to think about, dealing with this mission and nailing it, because then I think once we've done that, then I think so many wonderful other things will come. And, I remember being at the beginning of this journey with this amazing woman. I was running around trying to ask for money from, everybody. It was years of scramble. And I was with this woman called Daddy Jenki, who was a yogi, 90 years old. She's still alive, one of the most spiritual women in the world. This woman is off the chart. And, I was with her in front of her, kind of yeah, but I need some money. I was doing all that sort of stuff. I was so in it in the beginning. And I remember just looking at me. She looked at me for ages. She didn't say a thing. And eventually she said something to me. She said, Jeremy, it's already happened. All you got to do is breathe. I was like, wow, man. I was like, deep. And I just never forgotten that woman's words. And it really didn't say anything else. That was kind of it. And in the moment, I was like, wow, in the moment. But, the more that the more I go on this journey, the more I think, yeah. Not like I'm it's just, it's sort of sums it up for me. I'm just going to do it. And we'll institutionalise it. Let's get some big results. Yeah. And then see where we go from there.
Jeremy, 12 years, a lot of energy. Where's it get it from?
I'm just getting it from the people. It's just amazing. I'm going to sleep, I'm having a hot bath, I'm trying not to drink over 4 units a day, because that's the recommended amount, isn't it? Frustratingly. But I'm sort of taking care of myself like that. I'm really trying to look after myself in a big way. And, Because there's been a couple of burnouts, a couple of times in hospital, just like decked right out. And I think I've definitely learned from those experiences. And, that's where it is. Yeah, no, that's where I get it from. Definitely from the people. Definitely. So much encouragement, support. It's like, wow, it's amazing.
Cool. One more? Yep.
Hi, Jeremy. As I know a lot of people, this morning I was on the train, I tweeted out, I'm coming to the Peace One Day conference. It's not really a question, just a comment. I got a text, and that went to my Facebook feed. And I got a text at 13:01 from my daughter. Are you at the Peace One Day conference? I've put the event, and I replied, yes, I am. About 50 minutes later, 5 seconds later, she sent me a text. Is Jude Law there? Or any other celebs? Please get me an autograph or something, please. And I've replied, no, it's not like that. And she's replied with a question mark. Now, from that point, it's an antidote, but obviously, I mentioned I was coming to this event a couple of days ago, and my wife mentioned to my daughter, and they've obviously done stuff in school. I followed Peace One Day, but not too vigorously, if you like. But today sort of hit home to me the impact it can have with one man's vision. But the very fact that my daughter, 15-year-old daughter, it's hit home. But so whether you got celebrity endorsements, there's a message going to her in some way. Yes, she wants an autograph, but just want to say that you're doing good work, and yeah, you're one man. You know the energy is there, and you're right. You draw the energy from us, but unless if each of us does one little thing, if my daughter just sends text like that, something will happen. So
yeah, no, it's,
well done.
Yeah, well, thank you, and amazing. I mean, that is the result. I mean, that is it right there, and it just makes it all just so totally worthwhile, doesn't it? Young people inspiring and empowering a new generation to be the driving force behind the vision of a united, sustainable world is totally what should be and is at the heart, of Peace One Day's work. And when I speak to, the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court of Justice, De Mello, and he says to me, listen, I'm like, when's this court going to shut? This is the guy that's on the Coney film, right? Amazing, man. I met him a number of times and filmed him and la-da-da. And I'm like, when is this place going to shut? And he's like, it'll only shut when we give an education resource, a peace resource to every young person on the planet. And, that's it. And that's what we're going to try and do. So I'm really delighted to hear that your daughter knows about it. And also to Jude, he's been an extraordinary man. This whole thing about celebrity, and sometimes you sort of see these celebrities getting criticised. I mean, it's just ridiculous. He was just a pillar for us. I mean, there are 4 pillars to these great things. One of them is having some money, one of them is having a great idea, one of them is having a group of people, a tribe or a constituency or whatever you want to call it. And the 4th is people like Jude, because without them, you just can't walk in the room. And they really do genuinely make a massive difference. So I'm very, very grateful to him.
Just literally got a text from my daughter, not unsolicited. She's replied, oh, well, was wondering, because in school it showed loads of celebs.
Excellent.
So she won't forgive me. So can you sort of forward
give me that brochure.
Judy's signature?
No, if you give me that brochure, I'll get it signed for you.
Superb, nice one.
I've got one last question, mate. Have you got this under control?
No, not under control. No, totally haven't got it under control. And I don't want to have it under control, Steve, actually. I don't want it under control. I want to, just free fall and make mistakes. And not too many, but,
Because I think that was a big shift for you that I've seen in the last sort of 12 months is the letting go process, because you used to hold on to it. It was your baby, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that's been a bit of a journey for you to go
Yeah,
through.
no, it has. And I think also, it's anyway, I had a little baby around the same time, so suddenly, there's a little baby in my life that's just sort of become not more important than this is an incredible thing, but I think the timing is very interesting. You got, something more special than everything else.
Brilliant. Give him a huge round of applause. Okay.